What's going on, people? Welcome to 137 Works, and today we're having a look at FL Studio's stem separation built-in versus the one in Serato Sample. Basically, this video was inspired by MarlowDigs, who's somebody that I subscribe to on YouTube for kind of sample-based beat making stuff. He did a video, I believe, Logic on the Mac recently updated and added in their own stem separation, and he basically just did a one-to-one comparison of the Logic stem separation versus MPC's. Like if you've got a physical MPC or if you have the software, I believe it's all built in. They have their own essential built-in one now, and he basically just compared them, and it put into my head where, again, I'm sure I'm not the first to do this. I'm sure there's been plenty of comparisons over the time that these two, FL the DAW and Serato Sample the plugin, have had stem separation features built into them. Yeah, I just thought I'd try it for myself because mostly I'm curious anyway, and if I was going to do it anyway, it's been a while since I made a video, so I might as well. I don't know what to expect. I kind of just use Serato Samples by default, and even if the difference, unless the difference is drastic, like absolutely huge difference in like how much quicker and how much better they sound, I'm probably going to still use Serato Sample. It's easier, it hooks directly, like I don't have to go then cutting things in a separate, like if you're to use the FL's built-in stems, I would probably use the stems from FL but still drag them into Serato Sample, if that makes sense. Like I'd create a new instance of Serato Sample and still plug them into FL. What gets me is that there was a big difference between that Logic and the MPC built-in ones. It's not that the MPC ones were bad, but if he did say 10-15 tests of different tracks and like kind of A, B in between different tracks, the Logic one came out quite convincingly on every single one except for like one. There was one like piano bit or something like that was just a little nicer on the MPC take of it. But yeah, that was pretty much his takeaway, that the built-in Logic one was just like miles clear that he was only going to use stem separation within Logic now. Which again, if it's part of your workflow, it just makes sense. Again, for me, the way that FL does it, where you have to select it up here, again, I'll go into it when we start, but the way that FL does it versus how quick and simple it is to do in Serato, it's a no-brainer for me to personally stick with Serato. We shall see. So I have here a copy of my songs Resurrect, which is a remix of the PK dance song Resurrection, I think it was called, hence the title. From Jesus, I made the song about a year ago, and the original song obviously is from the early 2000s or whatever. Yeah, it's a little, I think it's 90 BPM. It's a little sampled beat with like a deep bass line, a kind of programmed drum kind of beat, and the samples from the original song and stuff. So we'll see how well it can kind of be picked apart by both of these programs. By simply, the first thing that you do in Serato, I'll do is, because that's the one I'm most familiar with, is you just basically essentially pick what you want or don't want. So I'm going to just say, let's just go for the drums to start off with. So while it's grayed out, it's doing the work in the background. It would be nice if there was kind of like a little progress bar or something like that, like to let you know exactly what's happening when you can start playing it or whatever. But you can see here, it's taking it is a full song, so it's going to take a little bit longer, but already the drums are coming through. You can hear as a scroll there. But we'll just give it a go and just see what it sounds like. Oh, actually, no, we should probably listen to the full song first to know what we're listening for. So this is just the first little bit of the song. So that's the intro drums. They're kind of relatively simple and straightforward, not much. And then in the chorus, a little bit more happens. So again, we'll see what kind of separation we can get. Yeah, so that's basically, that's what we're doing with that. We'll see basically what do we have here. So if we press from here, it's done a real good job. It has the little shaker or whatever like that on every fourth one. You can hear a little bit of spill, for lack of a better term. That's a real good job though, to be fair. Honestly, genuinely very good. So let's see how FL handles it. So the way to do it in FL, which is, it's also another weird thing, is that it's really, I don't know if out of the way is the right way to put it, but it's like, yeah, it's not like you think there'd be like a more kind of upfront, like, hey, here's our stem separation feature that's kind of a standard in basically everything nowadays. Yeah, you just basically click the top left here and click on extract stems from sample rather. And then you just pick what you want. In this case, I'm just going to do them all. We'll just see how long it takes. So again, this is a full, whatever it is, 2-3 minute song, 3.5 minute, 4 minute song, whatever it is. So it might take a little bit longer, but cut back when it's done basically. Okay, so I've left it, it's been a couple of minutes, it's been about 2 or 3 minutes already, and it's just over halfway. So it's dragging on quite a bit longer than I might have thought. The results better be spectacular for the drastic time difference that it takes. I will say it is 4.5 minute long song. I went to check it, it's 4 minutes 29 seconds. So it's a lot of sound to process, I guess. It's taking a while now. We are 2 or 3 minutes at least in this process. I also will say that I turned down the volume, checked everything because it's been a while since I recorded it. Checked everything, and it turns out, yeah, I've probably been absolutely blaring speakers out of it, so I'll have to try and fix that in editing, but I should have fixed it, so it shouldn't be as dreadful for you. Apologies about that. It's also very taxing on the computer apparently, because despite having like decent PC, see that like a drop of frames and OBS here as it's running, so not a perfect show as far as like performance and speed, but again, if the result is good, that's really all you care about. Yeah, because like it's just finished there now, as you can see, but like, yeah, 99.9% of the time you're not going to be streaming and worry about dropping frames. It will just be, can you get it done relatively quickly, and is it high quality? In this case, yeah, can't get it done quickly at all. We'll see how this pans out. Yeah, it took a while, but let's see the quality. It has a lot of that like graininess, that high end kind of shimmery digital distortion, or whatever you want to call it, like that you get with stem separation in these kind of early generations. But like, just to try and A/B test it, let's just go. It is quite a bit better if you listen to particularly this first little bit. It's very clean, whereas this has a little, the Serato version has a little bit of mud to it, definitely. There's like a few other little sounds coming through. Yeah, you could absolutely use the FL one. But again, it's one of those things, in fairness, I didn't pick up on the problems with the Serato one until I checked out the FL one. But let's just skim along and see, is there any other big changes that it picked up on and did well. So it actually even picked up the reverse ride, even though there was an effects, and now it's picked up both of them obviously, but like to have it picked up the reverse ride is good as well. And let's see how Serato Sample did the chorus. Wow, that's nowhere near as good. That's very impressive. Very interesting to notice as well. Again, like on first listen, I was like, yeah, that sounds like the drums. That's the right timing, and they have roughly the right sound and all that. But it really is crystal clear that the FL implementation is much better when it comes to these drums. Like, they're not perfect, but you could, if you were, for example, a fan of this song and you wanted to sample the drums and be like, yo, I loved how Brian did the drums in that tune, I'd like to take them out and use them in my own thing, you could use these with a bit of EQing and a bit of messing around with that just to remove some of the grime and the dirt. You could absolutely use these. Like, that's very impressive. Next up is the bass. It's just a sub bass, so it should be fairly straightforward, so we'll hear it here. Yeah, so it did pretty well. It's fascinating to hear because it's like what the word I keep using is spill. It sounds like someone's playing a bass guitar in like a live recording room, and there is like it's picking up the headphones or the rest of the band in another room or something. If you listen very closely, you can absolutely hear all the stuff going on above. It's not hard cutting it. Strangely, you would think for like a bass sound, the way that stem separation works, essentially being just really insanely precise EQing, dumbing it down a whole lot. It's interesting that it doesn't just lop off the top completely above a certain range for the bass tracks. But let's see how the bass track came out in Serato Sample. That's very interesting. That's a huge difference. That sounds pretty poor, to be honest. Very, very strange. I didn't expect the difference to be this big. I really didn't. I'm happy I did this now because it's very, very interesting. As far as going forward and like sampling like actual songs now, it's gonna have to make me think again about how I use the stem separation. I don't tend to use it a whole lot. I still basically will use samples as I find them, more or less, unless it's something very specific that I want. But just hearing how much better it's done so far. There's no vocals on this, so I'm wondering what I picked up as vocals. We shall see. Oh yeah, I suppose there's the little vocal chop things that I put in. Again, it doesn't sound great by itself, but like I'm assuming when you put it in with the, or like when we try the Serato one now, it's either not going to have it at all. So it's taking that bell or whatever, it's taking that and thinking that that's a vocal, part of the vocals for some reason, but it is getting the little vocal cut here. Interesting. Again, there's a lot of noise and grime and grit going on, all that kind of thing. But again, with some filtering and you put it down low enough in the mix, you could reuse that sound, really. Let's see what this found for sound. It's actually done a better job in Serato, I have to say. Just getting that A or whatever. I keep wanting to match the signal, but I'm not. Yeah, it's very faint. You can't really make it out in the graphic thing here, but yeah, it found it. Did it do a better job, would you say? It's definitely isolated it better. Again, the FL's version has got the it's picking up the sweeping effects thing, so that's not necessarily ideal. But lastly, we have the instrument parts. So let's just see how it gets on with those. If I remember right, in the song there is piano playing chords and maybe like an arpeggiated note or something. There's obviously the lead sample pitch down. There is some kind of digital harp, I'm pretty sure. And again, it's doing a pretty good job there considering how punchy and heavy, like it's a big, almost dubsteppy kick and bass and a big heavy bass line going on in there. You can hear a little bit of wavering where they should be hitting, but it's not that bad at all. Yeah, like I can make out all the little harps and all the little bits and pieces. So again, it's done a pretty good job there. Let's see how Serato gets on. Immediately, Serato's having a much harder time avoiding the ducking that comes along with taking away the drums. It's basically kind of pumping a little bit here. Yeah, it is missing a lot of the music. So again, it's not perfect, but it's just a lot less mess in the FL version. So genuinely surprised by that. That's the first song, so that's about whatever. Hopefully by the time I edit this down, the first half will be about 15 minutes, and we'll jump into another track. Okay, so next up we're going to try a different style of track. So this is just me singing and playing guitar with probably a bit of piano, a bass line, and I think there's just like a pumping kick drum thing that happens in the chorus. It's a shorter song, so it shouldn't in theory take as long. It's about 3 minutes. It's literally about 2 minutes and 59 seconds if I'm not mistaken. Right, so being a bit shorter, it should be a little bit quicker. So let's see what we do. We just unselect everything, let it do its work. Wasn't that quick, was it? Surely. No, I was going to say, like, it has to do with work now. I will do music first, because there's very few drums. But again, Serato is fairly quick, so we should start seeing the little colours pop up. So again, it's pretty sure, just for the most part, it's just a kick and four on the floor, kick drum just to pump it along, so it shouldn't have too much trouble with this. Again, you're trading off the speed. That was fairly quick, that was less than a minute clearly. But based on the first example, the actual outcome isn't the greatest, so we'll see. Oh, there's a shaker loop as well, yeah, which is, it's struggling. It's desperately trying to pick up that shaker loop, but it isn't, so that's kind of a mark against it. Again, this isn't the kick drum I was thinking about. There's like a... Yeah, it's like an 808 boom that leads into one of the parts, but let's see. Starting to find the shaker. That's poor, I have to say. That's very poor. Yeah, that wasn't great at all. I did forget to play the song actually, so this is what that should have sounded like. I'm surprised at how well it did. Again, it's probably not the best mix in the world and all that kind of stuff, but for it to have just been a basic four on the floor kick, it did not do a great job with that, I have to say. So let me just see again. Super grainy. Like, you can tell the pattern that has the boom, 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 boom. Like, you can tell what the pattern is. That wouldn't be usable. Like, I wouldn't be able to use that, like, if I was to try and remix a song using the stems. This is why we are testing, so let's see how long it takes, considering it's a minute and a half shorter. Hopefully it'll be a bit quicker, and let's see if it sounds much better. Update, it's been about a minute or two, I'm only at the halfway point, so it's not looking good for the speed side. But again, the difference is a lot more drastic than I would have thought, so it's, you know, consider it's a one-time thing as well. I suppose if you were doing it for every, if you have to do it for every track or something like that, like, or a bunch of tracks within the song or whatever, like, I'd say maybe fair enough. But the fact that you've only to do it one time and it does have such good results, I guess you can kind of forgive it essentially for how long it takes, basically. But okay, here we go. The waveforms look more promising for the drums anyway, so let's just jump straight into them and see how we get on. Much better. So far clear, like, it's not even funny. Yeah, that's just, it's night and day. It's actually crazy. By and large, it has the pretty much all of the shaker loop in there. And again, I've even actually forgotten there is clap, so there's like it's the four on the floor with like a clap in the chorus part. Yeah, comparing these two, it's night and day. We'll try and A/B them as close as possible. They both seem to struggle with that first note, though. I did notice that it struggled with the first note in the FL version as well. Yeah, but you basically can't tell there's a clap there at all, whereas with this one, yeah, it doesn't. It didn't like either that first hit for whatever reason on either of them. To be fair, And it's by no means perfect, but it's definitely a step up compared to the Serato thing. We will try bass now, I guess, in Serato from the same sort of point, maybe. There is some bass activity happening down there. You can just about make it out. Like, it's picking up the remnants of the 808, basically, by the sounds of it. But that is bizarre. I'm pretty sure that's just a Nexus bass guitar, like the Nexus 2 or whatever, that the bass XP guitars or whatever. There is definitely bass in there, and that's just non-existent essentially. You can make out the notes. You can tell that it's playing. It's playing the beat. It's playing a bass line, but that's essentially trash. That's really, really poor. I'm surprised by that. Let's see how it gets on in this one. That's not great, I'd say. You can make out a lot. Again, it's that spill thing where it sounds like you can make out the top end a lot. But again, I'm sure with just some kind of like an EQ, you could roll off a lot of that low end, or a lot of that high end rather, and just keep the rest. Like, it's not perfect, but like, I'm surprised by how much of the high end graininess is in there. There's a lot of like that bit crushy kind of effect going on in this, in the FL's version. Yeah, again, it's not great, but it's usable compared to whatever the hell this whatever the hell Serato was on, where it tried to, yeah, you couldn't use that at all. So we shall move on to the vocals because there actually is some in this track. So hey, here's to you, California. Not so bad. It's got the harmonies. Living in the perfect weather, spending time inside together. Hey, here's to you, California. I realised how just towards the end there that I was playing it with the bass line. Yeah, that does. You can hear all the harmonies, so that's good. We'll just go from here, maybe. Living in the perfect weather, spending time inside together. Hey, here's to you, California. I'm guessing there's just one bit right at the end here where I can hear another harmony. I can't remember how many harmonies I did at the time. Not bad. That's usable for an acapella, or if you were to do a remix over that, that's pretty possible. Blackout on the beach. Faces I've seen in magazines. Let's take a walk out on the pier. Watch the shoreline disappear. Again, you can hear it picking up the shaker loop in it quite a bit. It's what I've always wanted. Hey, here's to you, California. But, you know, it's passable. So, let's see how does this cook. Na, 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 na. Whoa. Na, 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 na. It's also the fact that it picks up the reverb, which I think is crazy, because there is a heavy reverb on this. It is kind of a spacey, echoey vibe that I was going for. So there is quite a lot of reverb, and you can hear it. Like, it's picking it up, which I think is absolutely mind-blowing. And I think the Logic one did that as well. I'm pretty sure, like, both my friend Dave and Marlow in his video actually pointed out that it captures the reverb. Like, Marlow had a loop with this bit of reverb on the snare drum in his loop, and it was picking up that, and I'm just noticing it now as well. It's absolutely including the reverb in the audio, so, or in the vocals rather. So that's just fascinating. Hey, here's to you, California. Beautiful days of suburbia. Living in the perfect weather, spending time inside together. Hey, here's to you, California. Yeah, they're kind of picking up and missing out some of the same frequencies, but I think again it's a lot closer on the vocals. It seems to do a better job when there's a lot more clear signal. It does a lot more. It does a much better job on the vocals on both ends. But I think FL probably just edges it. Let's hear it for the higher bits here again. Living in the perfect weather, spending time inside together. Hey, here's to you, California. Spending time. Living in the perfect weather. Living in the perfect weather. Yeah, it's pretty close. I think I would still go with the FL version because it does still seem to have just that little. It's like clearer or something like that. It's like a bit more high end information, particularly which is something you'd want in vocals. Obviously, let's just hear some of the earlier bits. California, when all black out on the beach. Faces I've seen in magazines. Let's take a walk out on the pier. Watch the shoreline disappear. It's what I've always wanted. Hey, here's to you, California. Yeah, so you can still hear it occasionally picking up that little shaker or the tambourine or that. But generally speaking, yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. So last but not least, we will check out the instruments part. So the guitars, the piano, strings, whatever like there may be in here. But so let's see how it gets on with that. Yeah, the strings and some electric guitars and stuff like that. Again, it doesn't sound great. Like, it doesn't sound audibly like a pleasant thing to listen to. But it's captured the general gist, I guess you could say, if you wanted to be nice about it. You can make out the basic ideas. So, yeah. Not overly mind blown, but it'll do, basically. There's a bit of music here actually by itself. Let's see how it does with that. Obviously, as you might imagine, it seems to do a bit better when there's not much else going on around it. Let us see how FL gets on. So a lot clearer so far. So again, just kind of brighter, clearer, still not perfect, still could like use some work, but there's not a whole lot going on. There's not a whole lot going on in this bit. It's pretty much just a little boom, maybe a shaker loop or whatever that, and my voice. So it does a much better job at that, naturally. Yeah, like that's perfectly fine. I'm actually curious. I didn't try this on the first one. What does it all sound like brought together? Like, how does it go back together, glue back together, if that makes sense? Hey, here's to you, California. Beautiful days of suburbia. Living in the perfect weather, spending time inside. Yeah, when you put it all back together, like as I was A-Bing it there, seamless. So yeah, it goes all back together pretty fine. Yeah, overall that's pretty much it. Just 2 examples of different types of tracks to show you kind of what is possible, what could be done. Clearly takes much longer. It's like 3 times as long for the FL Studio version. You do tend to get a better result. It's not perfect, neither of them are perfect. This first generation of stem separation isn't going to be perfect. You're going to have those kind of glitchy, bitty, crushy elements in the high ends, and the separation is going to be perfect. But like, you know, depending on your need and your use, like you can get some great results, especially with the vocals. As you can see, like the vocals are pretty solid, including the reverb and stuff like that. Like that's absolutely usable for like a remix or whatever. Yeah, to be able to do this now and get them in essentially 1 click and wait in a couple of minutes is absolutely brilliant. So if I was to give an overall kind of winner, it's clearly FL Studio. It's the same situation as I assume with the Logic one. Yeah, I assume that the tools and the horsepower behind a full-on DAW, whether that's how much CPU you can use or whatever, I don't know. Again, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just guessing. Like maybe it's just they have more at their disposal, or just the model, the model that FL uses or Image Line uses for their one is just a lot more complex and takes longer, but gives a better result than the one that Serato have. But it's definitely interesting. It's made me think, and I will definitely, in my kind of day-to-day sampling use of like, oh, I found this cool sample on a record, but I really want the horn. It sounds fine in Serato, and in the past I would have obviously just gone and used the Serato stem separation take of it. Maybe just try the FL one and just see how it gets on. That is about it. I don't think there's any more that I need to cover there. I think that was all fairly comprehensive. So if you enjoyed it, please do leave a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new here. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you use another program that has it built in. If you use, I don't know, Reason or Cubase or Pro Tools, if they've got built-in stem separation and you've done the kind of similar test, have you found the same? I wonder. I'm curious. But yeah, that's it. If you enjoyed it, please do leave a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new here. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.